There's really no title in the book for it. This is the second half of 6.5. And I'm going to have you write down a few things. So let's make sure we get this part down, okay? So 6.5, here's what you got to have. If the opposite side, opposite of the angle is smaller. If the opposite side of the angle is smaller than the other side, then you will have two possible triangles. So this is what we call side-side angle. I know what that looks like, but it's based on giving an angle and you have two other sides. It matters which side is larger and which side is smaller. So if we have something like this, and I say this is angle 30 degrees, and the opposite side is 25, and I give you either one of these two sides, okay? Either one of those two, but I'm not giving you all of them. So I say this is like 50 over here. Well, the opposite side there is smaller than the other side. If that's the case, okay, then you have two possible triangles, meaning this side right here, the smaller side has a hinge point. The hinge is between the two sides. Okay, so the hinge is between two sides. The two sides given, okay? What does a hinge do?
It's in between two sides.
What does a hinge do on a door?
Moves.
It allows it to move, right? So this is your door. And the hinge, it can swing. And if that's the case, all of a sudden, I have a second possible triangle right there. This is still 25. The door doesn't change sizes as you swing it open, does it? Okay. The point is, your hinge changes degrees, and you get two new degrees. You get a new degree here and a new degree there. Even though that side doesn't change. What changes is this right here. This length is either short or it becomes longer based off of that hinge. Okay, now we're going to come up with a couple different scenarios where it's not possible for you to have a triangle, or it's not possible for something to have a hinge. It is this requirement that the opposite side of the angle, in this case 25, 50 is not opposite that angle. 25 is opposite the angle. If the opposite side of the angle is smaller than the other side, you have a hinge triangle. That doesn't mean you definitely have a triangle. There is an example I'm going to show you where it won't work. But in general, you'll have two triangles if that's the case. Yes?
Would that also work if 50 was on the bottom?
Yes. Yes. Okay. So now, the whole point is, if you don't have enough information, you got to cover all your bases. All right? So having said that, let me give you something else to think about. Let me write this down as well at the bottom of this. The moving angle, okay? The moving angle, not the hinge. The moving angle, okay? Is 180 degrees minus the first angle. Okay, now what do I mean by the first angle? Not the angle given. So in general, you just draw the triangle the way it's set up, and you find the first moving angle before you actually swing it, okay, with the law of sines. You'll see in a minute what I'm talking about. In order to get the second angle here, in this case I'm talking about that angle right there, okay? That's your moving angle. So to get that one, you take 180 minus this angle right here, because you're going to find that first angle. Well, let me label it, okay? So we're going to call this A, B, and C is either at C1 or it's at C2. Okay? So we'll call this C2 for your first angle. So it's either C1 or C2 that you're finding. Okay? Once you found that, that's the first angle you find. To get the other angle that you swing it to, you take 180 minus that. And I'll show you how that comes out. They're supplementary. Okay, that's why it's 180 minus this. All right, so it's a lot right now. So right now it's kind of confusing to you. But the first thing you got to look for is the opposite side smaller than one of the other sides? If it is, you're going to have two triangles. Okay, so we said that. I'm just going to point out something real quickly that you need to kind of get abstractly. If the angle given, okay, if the angle given is obtuse, what do you know about the opposite side compared to the other two sides? It has to be the longest side, right? Therefore, any angle given that's obtuse doesn't meet the hinge criteria. So you're only going to have one triangle. Okay? So that's one way you know that you're not going to have two triangles, if the angle given is obtuse. Because what we say for the hinge problem is the opposite side has to be smaller than the other two, one of the other two. And if that angle is obtuse, obviously that's not going to happen. Okay, now let's actually go on and do something here. Here's some examples. We'll do 2 or 3 examples for you, all right? First one's going to seem kind of confusing, but they're all kind of the same, all right? So if I say, and you did this in your homework last night, and you probably figured out if you looked at the answers, wait a minute, some of these have 2 answers. This is why. So if I give you angle C is equal to 38 degrees, little c is 42, little b is 45. Now we're going to draw this, and then we're going to separate it into 2 triangles so it's easier to see, okay? Let's try to draw this accurately. 38 degrees is about like that. We'll call this angle C because that's 38 degrees. And we'll put B at the top, so little b is going to be down here at 45. And the question is little c here or over here? Because this is going to be, I'm sorry, I did that backwards again. Sorry. Whoops. Sorry, hold on a second. A is either going to be like here or over here. It's swinging in this position, okay? It is the hinge because little b was 45 and little c is 42. The hinge is between the 2 sides given. Step 1, identify where the hinge is at. And then just draw an isosceles triangle with it if you want. That may help you do it. I mean, those 2 sides have to be the same, don't they? Yeah, you're swinging the door, and the door doesn't change lengths. All right, so what you really have here is you have B sub 1 and you have B sub 2. You also have A sub 1 and A sub 2. A sub 2 is the whole angle there. Again, I told you the first one's going to be kind of confusing. We'll do one or two more. It'll get easier as we do. All right, so let's actually separate these now. Okay? So the first one, we'll do this really long one here. And write everything in 32 degrees. C, we'll call this B1 and A1. 45 and 42. Then over here, I'll draw the short one. We'll call it B2 and A2. You see where I'm getting those from? Oh, 38 degrees, sorry. Thank you. 38 degrees. Do you see where these two came from? From the triangle at the top? Yes or no? Okay. All right, so this is 42, and this is 45, and this is 38. Okay, now watch. I know you're catching. I'll let you catch up. All right, so let's solve this problem. Here's the two triangles. So on the left, I have the sine of 38 is to 42. This is the law of sines. So those of you who weren't here yesterday, we're using the law of sines. And that equals, I'm not going to use A because I don't have little a or the angle A. So I need to use B. The sine of B1 is to 45. So this is what you did yesterday. You set up proportions with the law of sines. Lauren, you remember doing the law of sines?
Awesome? No. She
Okay.
was here yesterday.
Yeah, but she had algebra 2.
Oh, yeah. I didn't do good.
Okay, so now we cross multiply. So everybody do 45 times... Wait a second, everybody look up here. Watch. If you put up in here sine of 38 in your calculator times 45, your calculator is going to take the sine of whatever 38 times 45 is. If you put it in like this. Because it puts parentheses on that. So if you're going to put the sine 38 in first, you got to make sure that you write a parentheses closing that out. Otherwise, write it like this. 45 times the sine of 38. And this is how the calculator looks at it. You need to hit enter at that point before you hit the division symbol of 42. Okay? Again, if you don't hit enter, or if you don't close the parentheses, it's going to take the sine of 38 divided by 42 instead of just the sine of 38 degrees. Your calculator is only as smart as you are. And you're smarter than your calculator. You just need to know when to use your parentheses. Okay? All right, so everybody do that, see what you get. I'll pause this. All right, so I get the sine of b sub 1 equal to 0.6596. Who got that? 4 of you that were doing it with me? Good. 5, 6. Okay. So that's my angle, right? No, thank you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth's paying attention. Okay, does that look like an angle? Okay, so I need B, not sine of B. So I need to move the sine over by doing the arc sine of that. So do the arc sine of your answer, and you should get 41.3 degrees. So 41.3 degrees. And it looks like that's B sub 1. Sometimes when you draw these, you got them switched, B sub 1 and B sub 2. It doesn't matter which one's which. I mean, you're still solving it correctly. Like, B sub 2 is going to be probably obtuse. Sometimes that's what you find, and you just have them switched. You don't know which one you're finding when you start, okay? So it actually matches up with our drawing this time. So if that's it, now to find the moving angle, remember A is your hinge point. So the moving angle is B. How do I find the other angle? What did I say to do? Because these are supplementary. What do you get? I didn't do it. So 138.7. Everybody check Courtney. She's probably right. All right, so you just found the other angle. Oops, 138.7. And at this point, you ought to be able to tell me what a sub 1 is and a sub 2. How do I find those?
180 minus first angle.
180 minus both of the other two angles. So to get angle A sub 1, 180 minus 38 minus 41.3, isn't it? 180 degrees in the triangle, right? So 180 minus both of those. 180 minus 38 minus 41.3. And that's 100.7. Everybody find a sub 2 real quickly. I'll pause this. 3.3 degrees?
Very small.
Yeah, it's very small.
I don't know how you're getting B2 or D2.
Okay, let's do another one to get us kind of going. All right, so here is, let's see here. How about we do angle B is 58 degrees. Little b is 73. And little c is 82. All right, so let's try to draw it accurately. I'm going to draw this a little bit larger here. 58 degrees is about like this. So this is angle B. This is 58 degrees. All right, we'll put A up here, oops, and C down here. And little b, or excuse me, C is 82, so this is going to be 82. And little b is going to be 73. So since the opposite leg of the angle is not 73 degrees. Okay, since the opposite leg of the angle is smaller than the 82, then we have to have a hinge. Which one's the hinge? Where's the hinge at? Look at your notes. What did I say?
73?
No. Look at your notes. What does it say the hinge is?
82, 8B. I'm so confused.
What did I tell you to write? What did I write down? The hinge is between
Opposite sides.
the two sides given.
Oh.
So angle A is your hinge. This is my hinge, which means angle C is going to be my moving angle.
Oh.
So if I swing it, okay, then this is C1 and C2.
Doesn't matter what like side you call A, B, or C.
No, but then you got to fill in the blanks in the right positions. Okay? If you don't put them in the right positions, it doesn't work. Okay? So this is also 73 because it moved. Again, I didn't draw this highly accurately. If you used the compass, protractor, you could do all that, but and it would probably be visually easier to understand what's going on. All right, so maybe when we're done, we can kind of do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question is, what's C1, what's C2, what's A sub 1? We're going to call this A sub 1, and this is, the whole thing is going to be A sub 2. All right, because it's swinging further out. One of your questions, I think it's 31, is going to ask you for the difference of A1 and A2. It doesn't really come out and say it like that. Pay attention to, I think it's number 31. Pay attention to what it's asking. So you still got to find A sub 1 and A sub 2 or whatever the angles are. But then it's asking for what that difference is. It's really asking for this angle right here. Okay? What the difference of the two are. I'm just giving you a heads up because you're probably not going to get to it. What?
This might be the dumbest question, but I'm really confused. Is it always going out?
It might come in. I just drew it like this. I could have drawn it out to the right and then swung it back in. You don't know when you're first starting. Okay? Watch. Watch. We'll do this one and
The one before you swung it in, and then that one you swung it out. I was like, huh?
yeah, it all, I don't know which one I'm finding first.
Oh, you
okay.
know the- oh,
Because right now I'm just using the information given to find angle C. I don't know if it's C1 or C2. Either it's an obtuse angle or it's an acute angle. I won't know until I do the law of sines.
Okay.
Okay? But I do know it's swinging. All right, so let's do this. If we do the sine of 58 is to 73, as we're not using A because we don't know the angle A or little a. We know little c, so we're going to do the sine of, we'll call it C sub 1. Again, I don't know if it's C1 or C2. Is to 82. Everybody solve for that angle C, please. 180 minus 72 is the 108 degrees. Okay, it's confusing because the C1 and C2 are written in the different positions because you don't know which one you're finding when you first start. Okay, so this is, we'll write it in here, 72 degrees, and this is 108. Fairly close to being right. Okay, so everybody, what's A sub 1?
Hold on. 14. Oh wait, you already got that.
I was asking. Yeah, that's right. And the other one's 50? What's the matter? Okay, so
Awful. I think this is worse than.
so on number 31 in the book, what you found here is this is 14 degrees, and the big angle here, the whole angle here is 50, right? So in the book, one of the questions asks for, okay, so what's this little angle here then? What would I do? Yeah, 50 minus 14 would give me that other angle. Why you would ever do that, I don't know. But when you do some story problems, guys, the story problems you're going to do are really wacky looking. And what you need to do is find every little piece that you can find. Like, if I knew this is 180 degrees, what's that angle?
180 minus 180.
Yeah, which is what?
I totally got that.
Guys.
72.
This is an
I
isosceles
feel
triangle. Okay. My point is, when you're doing the story problems, that sort of thing is what you need. You need to be able to kind of think through. It's like, oh, this is a straight line if they're supplementary. Okay, just to give you a heads up on those. Yeah.
Which ones did you use to get 50 again?
Oh, so since I knew,
Forgot to hit pause.
since I know this big triangle here, this is 58 and this is 72. So this angle right here must be 180 minus both of those because they're 180 degrees in it. Let me pause this.
Woo.
To explain why you're taking 180 degrees minus the moving angle is because you found this is an isosceles triangle right here, right? That triangle on the right. So these two angles are the same. This is 72 degrees. Well, isn't 72 and 108 180? They're supplementary to each other, aren't they? They're a linear pair. Which means when we're trying to find this angle right here, the moving angle, how did we find it? It's the supplement to the 108 degrees. How do you find it? By taking 180 minus 108. That's why that works. Because this is an isosceles triangle and this is a linear pair. So these two are equal to each other. Base angles theorem, geometry, welcome back. All right, there we go.